So I want to talk a little bit about the Covington Affair. I think that's what the official phrase that everyone on social media is going to go with. And if you're watching this down the road, I'll refresh your memory what the Covington Affair is, because everyone today knows what I'm talking about. There was a video that popped up over the weekend of a group of high school students from a Catholic university. I'm sorry, a Catholic private school, and they were attending a March of Life, or what do they call this? March for Life rally in Washington D.C. And after that rally, they end up on the Lincoln Memorial steps, many of them wearing "Make America Great" hats. And they show up, and a video starts playing. I think it's 3 or 4 minutes long, of this Indian banging drums as a protester, and he's right there standing in front of a young white boy with this big smirk on his face. And that's about the extent of the context everyone got. So we all watch this video in today's world where something that happens in DC with no mainstream media coverage can instantly come onto our computer screen so we all can weigh in on it. And that's just the thing. And that's kind of one of the things I want to talk about today is that we don't know how to use social media. It's so clear we don't know how to deal with this new technology because this is so new. This is so new. We've never had this opportunity in the history of humankind. So I guess I'm definitely guilty as everyone else. Okay, I'm not going to say that I've always seen this. But certainly it's been a couple years now where I don't think I make the mistake anymore that a lot of people are making. And that's weighing in on an issue before you know the facts. And this was something that always happened when you see these like shootings, like someone that was innocent got shot, which a lot of times it is, which I feel sympathy for, but we always weigh in before we know the details. Well, clearly this is one of the most apparent cases of it because everyone weighed in. And I too, I remember watching that video and I go, this little punk, like, what are they trying to do to this old man that's just out there peacefully protesting? But you don't see the context. And that's the problem because everyone weighed in on it. And it got so ridiculous is where you got celebs calling for violence amongst these little boys. The main kid in this thing, I'm not going to say his name here because hopefully things work out for him, but he's actually receiving death threats as we talk. The archdiocese of this school or this area in Kentucky has weighed in on the subject, looking that they're going to investigate this stuff. I mean, everyone's gone completely social justice warfare on these kids. Well, it turns out the video, when put into context, because it does actually exist, there's all videos of hours of footage, shows that they're actually a very innocent party in this whole thing. So essentially what they were doing is they showed up to Lincoln Memorial after this March of Life rally, and they're standing there and they're getting shouted at by racists, some group, this black Israelites, I think is what they call them. They're the craziest thing I've ever seen. I've never even heard of these things. And they are vicious. They are yelling obscenities at these kids, calling them racist names. And so the kids, there's a bunch of them. We're talking, I think, hundreds, decide that they're going to drown out the noise of these racist remarks towards them, and they start doing the school chant and all that kind of stuff. And mind you, a lot of them are wearing "Make America Great" paraphernalia, which is something I'm going to get to in a second here, because that's actually a big deal to the narrative behind this whole thing. So anyhow, they're shouting and actually seem like they're having a good time, drowning out the noise of these racial remarks. It's then very obvious that this Indian, I think there's a couple of Indians that protest and go up to these people, and they start moving through the crowd. And now who knows what their intentions are, but essentially he gets right up there into the face of this one kid. And so that's where this perspective that everyone got initially was of this kid standing there like over this Indian with a smirk on his face. But he was just standing where he was standing normally. The Indian moves up into his space and starts banging a drum in his face. And an act such as that could actually lead to violence. I'd like to think that I would have the cool and calm to not do anything about it, but I don't know if I would. If someone came and banged a drum right in my face, I think that person's going to be pushed back. This kid decided not to do that. In fact, it's very clear from some other evidence that he was trying to stop other people from potentially escalating the situation. So he's got a goofy look on his face. That's just, we're going to weigh in on that. I mean, who knows? You can't read into the smirk he's making. Quite frankly, given the circumstance, the kid did everything right. But the cameras just are catching that one perspective, okay? Now that's what happened. It's very evident that the media is eating their own on this one. There's a lot of deleted tweets over this stupid thing. What I think the bigger issue here at play is the fact that we have become so tribal in this country. They call this the Trump derangement syndrome because it's such an obvious thing of the left tribe, even though there is tribes in the right, and they can be just as pathetic sometimes. But we're so tribal to the point where any mention of Donald Trump or some kind of supporter, so essentially the red hat, instantly means something to these people, and it's not something quasi-negative. It's the worst of negative. It's tyrannical, it's racist, it's sexist, it's homophobic. Things that no one, well, at least homophobic and racist, no one ever alleged Donald Trump was before he became president, by the way, which is ridiculous. In fact, Donald Trump was the only guy who, I think he was the only person ever run, at least in modern time, as president, initially run as president, who was for gay marriage. Even Obama himself, when he ran in 2008, was not for gay marriage. But somehow he's the most homophobic president. It's unbelievable. But anyhow, this tribal thinking, and it's now creeped into Minnesota, and I don't know if people are paying attention to this, but there is a school in Jordan. So Jordan's down 169 south of Shakopee, about 20 minutes. And they're on Martin Luther King Day, they go to a basketball tournament. And the way that the media is spinning this whole narrative is the fact that they show up to play an all-black school or mostly black school. And the kids have a Trump 2020 banner. And there is an outrage right now by school officials and by the media in Minnesota because these kids dare to actually show support for Donald Trump. They are basically saying that the Donald Trump 2020 campaign is the equivalent of, I wouldn't even say the Confederate flag, almost like a Nazi flag, as if it's obvious racism, which is why Kanye was wearing the Make America Great hat, because he's a clearly racist towards black people, right? There's a lot of black supporters, notable black supporters of the president. But that's how ridiculous they're getting. And it's this tribal warfare. So they see this video, these Covington high school students, and people just instantly believe they're in the wrong. That's it. They can't possibly have any opinion that's reasonable on Donald Trump. And if you're one of those people that think that, you're going to have a very difficult time going about your daily life, because about 50% of the voting electorate voted for Donald Trump. So you know a lot of Donald Trump supporters. And there are a lot of reasons people supported Donald Trump. And it isn't because they're racist. It's not because they're sexist. It's not because they hate gay people. It has nothing to do with all that. There are a lot of valid reasons for voting for Donald Trump. And it'd be good for the media and for people to start recognizing that. And hopefully, as we go forward, the kids here in Covington, Kentucky, emerge without any big bruises or big scars. Because right now, as I'm producing this video, it seems like there might be a little turn going in the direction of salvation here, or in direction of justice, but we don't know. Anyhow, they were wearing the wrong hats, and you can't do that these days according to the elites.